Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about what are the chances of getting my ex back?
All of you are asking this.
Yes. Okay, so in this video we're going to address one of the most asked questions that we get. What are the chances of getting my ex back? And it is a tough question for a lot of different reasons. Okay? So, the first thing that I want to tell you guys is that the way you prepare yourself and the amount of work that you do in no contact is absolutely critical to improving your chances, okay? Because people that are ready and that are emotionally prepared and then stick to the plan or the strategies are going to be far better off than the people that aren't ready and they don't stick to the strategies, okay? So, as you can imagine, I love to over-prepare. When I did stand-up comedy, I always over-prepared. I would go over material over and over and over again because I know in a high-pressure situation, like in front of a crowd of 300 people, you're going to be maybe anxious and nervous and more likely to make a mistake. So, you want to be able to prepare for those variables and, handle it in real time. That's absolutely critical because many of you guys will be in no contact for months, and the minute you hear from your ex, you've forgotten everything that you've learned in the videos or on the channel. You've got to stick to the plan. If you want to increase the probability of reattracting them, you've got to decrease the things that will turn them off and make them think it's not going to turn around.
You have to be incredibly emotionally centered, and these are things that you work on through therapy, through working out those core issues. We talk about attachment all over the channel. So really do take this time, especially if you're in no contact, to really hone in on these skills because the moment will arrive at some point and you want to be ready. So nothing can prepare you for that feeling of when you're right in front of your ex, but there are things that you can do to increase your emotional centeredness and being able to be more confident for that moment.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough how much you have to stay disciplined in a breakup. And I know there's a lot of conflicting information about no contact, what to do. People will tell you do handwritten letters, good reminder text, clean slate messages. And in my experience, those things are far less effective than not reaching out and allowing that person to reach out to you. Okay? I had 3 people in the last week who did coachings with me and they didn't stick to no contact in the last week. And all 3 of them broke no contact, and all 3 of them regretted it. So, it's important to understand that when you break no contact, you are teaching your ex that you're not over them, they are not in danger of losing you, and you're decreasing their separation anxiety. When you decrease that anxiety, you are hurting the desire to get you back. Now, why am I telling you this in this video? We're talking about chances because in my experience, the research out there on breakups and when they're figuring out what are the chances of people getting back together, those people aren't taking into account the skills that we teach. Okay? If we were to measure people that stayed in no contact and did, personal growth on attachment styles and cut out a lot of the negative behaviors that we talk about, I truly believe the chances go up exponentially.
We should have a research team and figure it out.
Honestly, the amount of research it would take before I really felt confident with the studies would be a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, because honestly, people will tell you statistics. Anytime you hear a statistic, think to yourself, how are they getting this information? How did they measure it? How did they conduct the study? Do they have experience conducting a study?
Yeah, and we're going to get into the research and talking about what does exist out there on this question about likelihood and chances, and also some things to keep in consideration and keep in mind. So I also do want to say that, of course, we are here for coachings. If you ever did want to talk to us one-on-one for us to assess your situation and for us to give you just our thoughts on that.
Yeah.
This is more of a general video. Of course, we can't give you a number percentage that's across the board for all of you.
Yeah.
You know, that would be really unrealistic. Relationships are so complex and everyone is so different.
And quite honestly, the research we've seen, and even with Margaret over the years, hasn't understood the complexities of situations in a breakup like we have experience with. Right? And they often aren't led by people that understand attachment issues or mental health or even breakups. They're just kind of conducting research.
Exactly. So we do want to talk about likelihood. We also want to talk about research itself. And we also don't want to forget about your process throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
So to start off, the chance that your ex is going to reconsider the relationship is dependent on several factors. The biggest factors that we see include the quality of the relationship. It's going to make a huge difference if your ex was super satisfied for the bulk of the relationship and then it ended, versus if they were unhappy the entire time, or if there was abuse involved or any type of emotional neglect. So keep that in mind as we continue.
Yeah, quality is important. You know, that's a good point, because many of the people that we talked to, the relationship was fairly good, most of it, and yet it didn't work out for some reason. But obviously, if the person can reflect on a lot of good qualities that you had or a lot of great times you had together, that's a big impact on somebody, and it's hard to let that go.
Exactly. Versus if they were miserable the entire time and the breakup feels more like a relief than anything.
Yeah.
The other big factor is how long the relationship was, the duration of it. Are we talking about a 10-year marriage, or are we talking about a relationship of 3 months? These are vast differences in level of investment, both emotionally, both with time, and even with monetary resources in those two examples.
Sure.
But the point here is that the more somebody is invested, the more likely they are to reconsider a relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about that person and what you considered them for your life, you know what I mean? Like, did you think about this somebody that you could marry one day? Did you live together so you really got to know them on a deeper level? You know, were you engaged? Like, how intense was it? How close was it? You know, all of those things are going to impact somebody letting somebody go. You know, if you think, I could see myself marrying this person and having kids with them, that's hard to let go of, you know? Even if, you know, there are issues, that's something that you've considered, like, wow, this is, I mean, how many people do you really consider marrying in your life, you know? So that's a big aspect of it. Another big one are mental health and attachment issues. Wait, how many times do we see those things coincide with a breakup? Your ex was depressed for a long time and they weren't getting treatment for it, or their depression kept coming back and they have all these unresolved issues. Those things come up, you know, or their attachment style and their attachment issues. What's going on with them? What was their relationship like with their caregivers? How much work have they done on themselves, right? After, before you got into the relationship, or even after, you know, how do they connect with people? You know, if somebody can connect with somebody on a deep level, obviously that's a lot harder to let go of than somebody who just doesn't bond or connect with people.
Exactly. And if we're looking at likelihood of people who are more likely to have happy, healthy relationships, that would, of course, be the more secure population.
Sure.
So we have to think about it in terms of that as well, that attachment style does have a huge impact on whether somebody can consistently receive affection and give us affection.
Yeah. Intimacy is a very difficult thing to navigate. You know, how much intimacy can they give? How much feels overwhelming to them? How afraid of abandonment are they? And how quickly will they be triggered by those things? All of those are going to impact, you know, the likelihood of repairing something.
Yeah, exactly. Let's also take a moment to talk about research. So we did try scouring the web and seeing what type of articles are out there, what type of studies have been conducted to really find out a number, because I know a lot of you are curious just to hear. there is a huge range of research out there. Of course, there's no widespread study done that studies the population of, let's say, all of the U.S. and everybody from ages 18 to 65. There's no such widespread study as of yet. Maybe one of you guys can start working on it. I don't know. But what I will say is that there is a huge range. And there's so many different populations that have been studied, like young people in particular, married people, people who are cohabitating. So if you are really interested in that, you can go ahead and look up some of that information yourself. We found that the general range seems to be around 50%.
Yeah.
Which to you, you're thinking, oh, okay, my odds are 50-50. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What we want you to remember that these types of research don't always apply to you.
Yeah.
So it's, one of those major fallacies to say, okay, this one population in Iowa is exactly reflective of my situation. That's probably not going to be the chance.
Yeah.
And as interesting as the statistics are, you have to think about the incredible differences between each situation and each relationship. Breakups happen for so many reasons. And so looking at these statistics and saying, okay, this is the average, this is what's most common, this is what's most likely, it doesn't really apply to something so specific and so unique.
Yeah. We need to set up a research team with really qualified people before I really invested a lot into the research that I read, right? Because the research is different than what my experiences are as coaching you guys. You know what I mean? So, I look at a situation like this. All I need is one chance. I'm going to prepare myself on such a high level that I'm going to be ready for if and when that chance comes. And I really believe that if you guys get to that place, you're going to be a lot more likely to get in front of them and to blow your ex away. Because that would be my goal. I want to blow them away. If I only have one more shot at this, I want to put everything into having it go well. And if it doesn't, then I know I gave my best, right? So for those of you that spend hours looking, if they go on and off Instagram or Facebook or whatever you're at, WhatsApp, you're wasting your time. That time could be spent looking at what you did wrong in the relationship, looking at what you did right, looking at ways to improve, looking at ways to get better at soothing yourself or understanding your needs and their needs. Those are the kind of things that increase your chances.
And everything that we talk about on this channel, it's because we've seen it either work or we've seen it fail. So, everything that we teach is to increase your chances and also to improve your mental health.
Yep.
Every single video, I think, on this channel, on the main channel, are all focused on mental health, improving yourself, and becoming a better person and a better partner. So as we are addressing all of this stuff about the research and how accurate it is and how relevant it is, we also want you to think about why you're asking this question in the first place. Oftentimes, your anxiety is skyrocketed after a breakup, and you feel out of control. You have no idea what's going to happen next, and you can't handle that level of uncertainty. It feels incredibly unsafe. You feel lost. You
feel like you're dying. You literally feel, I have been there. That's why I do this, because I felt like I was dying. And the information out on research and breakups, it was just so bad. When I was going through my breakup so many years ago, there was nothing out there. It was just garbage. And so it's terrifying. And you feel maybe worse than you've ever felt in your life. And it overwhelms your body. It overwhelms your mind. It's horrible. And you know what happens.
We spiral. And our brains try to find answers and we try to gain control. And much of the time, this question, what are my chances? What are my likelihood? That's a way for you to try to gain control of the situation. This is why we really try to focus on getting to therapy if you are not already, to really working on how to self-soothe and everything that we've mentioned, working through those childhood issues, those traumas, because life is uncertain. We can't give you a 100% guarantee that an ex is going to come back. That's just reality. But what we can say are these are things that make healthy relationships work. And that's what we want you to focus on.
That's right. Because even if they don't come back, you're going to be able to have a healthy relationship for the next person. And it's going to make you feel better about how you feel about yourself and how you navigate all your romantic relationships.
Mm-hmm. And if you find that your mind is going down this route, and trust me, we've seen people extremely anxious about their breakup and about wanting their ex back, to the point where they're asking, if I put on yellow shoes tomorrow, does that increase my chance 1% of getting back with my ex? It gets really specific, and we can start driving ourselves crazy over trying to find concrete answers. Logic is not going to fix this.
No.
It's not. And there's no perfect mathematical number that we can assign to your ex coming back. You have to focus on what you can control and go from there.
That's right. And it's scary because that makes you feel like you have no control over your ex, which you ultimately don't. Mm-hmm. They have every right to be with who they want or who they don't want to be with. And so do you. But if you focus on being the best version of yourself, that's always going to put you in a position to turn things around and have a happy relationship with that person again. And the more you stay focused on that and working through your issues, the more likely you're going to be to do the right thing in that moment. I want to tell you guys, it's very easy to hurt your chances of reattracting your ex. I cannot stress this enough. When the time comes, you have to tell yourself, I've got to stick to the plan. You've got to think about all the mistakes we talk about on the channel. Like, somebody reaches out to you, you don't just spend the next 4 hours on the call with them and dump everything out. No, you want to set a date with them to reattract them in person. But a lot of people will make a lot of small mistakes, and we tell you guys this, when it happens, that hurt the chances. And we tell you guys time and time again, but then you get anxious in the moment and it all just spirals out of control. Like the 3 people I mentioned in the last week. Yeah. They were working on themselves, they were working hard, but they didn't stick to no contact and get themselves ready. They reached out, and then it just made a mess of the situation. Mm-hmm. So one last thing that I want to tell you guys. Many of you will hear from your ex again. Many of you will have another chance with your ex again. It may not happen as fast as you want. I hear about exes that come back a year later, 2 years later, stuff like that. Now, I'm not telling you to put your life on hold. We would never tell you to do that. But for those of you who feel like this person is so important to you and that they're never coming back, most of you, I think, will hear from your ex. Not everybody, but most of you will. And that's comforting. Mm-hmm. And if you continue to stay focused on the personal growth, you will put yourself in the best position to reattract that person and blow them away.
Exactly. And I'm really glad that you brought up the timeline, because that's another factor, even in the research, that's hard to measure. How long are these studies? Are they longitudinal over somebody's lifetime?
Yeah, exactly.
You just think about all the different scenarios that are possible. And the reason why we really wanted to talk about research too is not to undermine it or say that research doesn't matter, but rather to say, why are you asking this question? What do you hope to find? What really is your goal to how to use this data? So with that being said, for all you nerds out there, if you want to continue researching and discovering new things, we'd love to hear about it. So feel free to share, write down in the comments whatever you think. But also, really do a lot of that self-reflection, see really where this question's coming from, and ultimately, work to get to a place where you feel emotionally centered. Your chances are going to be better if you do that and if you focus on what you can control.
That's right. I cannot stress that enough, because many of you will have your ex reach out when you least expect it. And if you don't sit down and consider everything that you learned and all the mistakes we've told you to avoid and whatnot, you're going to be more likely to do something that turns them off or, hurts your chances. And I don't like to see that for anybody. So over-prepare. If it doesn't work out with them, think about how much you're going to learn and grow. Feel confident within yourself and reattract somebody just as great, if not greater than your ex. Right?
Exactly.
So stay positive. Most of you will hear from your ex at some point. You got to avoid those big mistakes. Stalking, contacting their friends and family. You know, we talk about those in other videos. Got to avoid the big mistakes, and that only improves your chances, okay? And of course, we're here to help coach you along the way. We're going to look at your situation and tell you what we see in situations like yours, what we would do, and we'll only tell you to do what we would do if we were in your shoes, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so hopefully this video has been helpful to you. Leave a comment, let us know. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here if you'd like to chat.
Click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.